Part of our front has fallen, and thousands of routed allied troops are fleeing toward us. Roswick persuades Volsons not to leave them to die, but in his infinite justice, the king decrees that only we may go to their aid, and he will provide no support of his own. Naturally, I jump at the opportunity. Lynette has sent us another letter indicating that she's either got herself a gimp or a stray kitten, and she sends 17k. I appreciate it, and spend nearly twice that immediately on the single repair stones sold at the Abbey, iron axes, swords, spears, and food for the army. I may be rolled lucky, I don't know if the food is randomized, but the A rank food on offer here gives a temporary plus 10 HP, and if the recipient likes it, then they also regain up to 5 health per turn. It is expensive, but it's worth it for Reese, Ruby, and Dean. There is a new mercenary at the Abbey now, a lolly hailing from parts unknown who seems to have been sheltered her whole life. I wonder what that's about. I'll hire her for a quick battle later on to make sure she's got enough happiness points to join me permanently down the line. One battle is good enough and doesn't even have to be a main one. I think her recruitment cost is happiness 1, no level requirement. We also get a gregarious new mercenary at the temple, and what do you know? He comes with a physic and a retreat orb, and can use every kind of magic. Strangely, he comes with a dark orb as well, which we've only ever seen on Razite priests, although he doesn't appear to be able to use it at present. He also says, jokingly I'm sure, that he shouldn't be deployed for more than 20 turns or he'll go berserk. I hire him instantly. Take on some requests from the local populace because I just spent so much money and I desperately need more. I bring an axe and a shield on Axel because we're going to get a new unit during the battle, and I want to be able to supply him with some extra items, and we are off. Okay, the trick here is that the refugee units are fleeing down the roads, and they will go down and then bifurcate either left or right to one of the 2 escape points. The crippled units have a chance of not being able to move more than 1 tile per turn, but they can always move at least 1 tile, and so you can abuse that by putting your units directly in front of them, and since they're pathed along this road here, it will force them to move through your unit, so you can guarantee that they, if you have enough units doing this, you can guarantee full move for the crippled unit every turn. I therefore begin the map by rushing all of my units except for Sylvis and Dean to the north to start getting the crippled greenies a head start, and then I shift most of my cows westward to block up the straits between the road that the enemy controls and the one which I do. This passage of butte-studded to rough terrain is good defensive ground. Narrow paths, dodge bonuses, and the lance units therefore cannot get much run up on me. So not much bonus damage from their momentum skill. I leave Dowd, Axel, and Ruby to keep hurrying the greenies along a little longer than the rest of my units, because I'm pushing Axel north anyways to grab a quest item, and Dowd has low move and is injured besides. Plus, I want a couple of battle cry buffs on him, so it's easier to just have him pop that where it's safe. And the turn that I spend not moving during the battle cry can at least then serve double duty as Crypt Walker. Ruby, I want to come into combat from the northern end of the map, once I've allowed Reese, Adel, and Leon to blunt the initial enemy advance. I'm not aiming for any formation in particular here, just having Adel, Leon, and Ruby sort of loosely flow around inside of Reese's commander aura for the accuracy bonus. I didn't use Ruby last battle, so she's catching up on XP and weapon rank now. And she's weak, so someone else always has to soften them for her. But because vulneraries are expensive and Owen is still redbound and doesn't have a huge range with Physic, ideally I want at least a couple of enemies to waste their turns for safety's sake by trying to attack Adel and then getting forestalled by his Vantage proc. So I'll kind of alternate between playing other units' turns until an enemy moves to attack Adel and gets uno'd before I use Reese or Leon to soften and then Ruby to kill. As to my other units, I've got Christine and Albert towards the bottom of the middle, near enough that they should be able to respond to back up Dean and Sylvis within a turn or 2 if needed, but can otherwise continue to attempt maintaining control of the mid-map. I'm cautious with Christine, don't really want to overextend here, it still doesn't take much to kill her, but Albert is being predictably excellent, provoke per usual. Sylvis and Dean are slogging it out with the bandits that nearly immediately begin spawning on the lower left side of the map, about a move away from reaching the road. Down which several greens are at this point going to be fleeing. No enemy reinforcements come from the right side of the map, and I've already deadlocked the enemy soldiers in the middle map, so as long as Dean and Sylvis can keep enemy aggro here in the bottom left, such that the rocky terrain prevents the enemies reaching Dowd's greens, I really don't have to worry too much. Or at least that was true, until the enemy light cavalry arrived, and more bandits spawned, and Dean started eating low percent hits. And not healing from that food that I bought him. This fucker must have a really slow metabolism, because I was counting on an average of 3 HP recovery per turn, and I'm only seeing 1s here. Should have paid Mirabelle extra for Wagyu, I guess. Most of the greens are not in danger at this point. I basically cleared the northern end, just mopping up, and anybody taking the east road is so far away in practical terms from the enemy that they may as well have already escaped. The terrain which enabled me to lock up the enemies earlier is now preventing me from executing a rapid front shift, so Dean and Silvus are going to need to hold for another 2 turns before I can get the full cab charge going. I am retreating now, because these 3 thieves are scary. Alibaba is going to split immediately, and I've got no one in range to pursue him, so the money he's carrying is lost to me, which is a bummer, but I also don't have to face combat from him, which, at this point, I'll take. The others, though, they aggro instantly. Bizarro, in particular, I don't like. And although Silvus has been real footloose this entire time, when it was just beta Lancers and Axemen, we start having issues now. She keeps raising her price every chapter I want to hire her, and she started complaining about headaches when I told her to focus and aim already, but as soon as she gets a look at Bizarro's high-T jawline and maverick facial hair, she starts blushing and tripping and playing with her hair, and she's eating dagger hits, and I don't like that crit rate. I remind her who the Paymaster is, and I burn 2 sniper arrows and durability on a brave crossbow to knock 30 of Bizarro's health off, but it doesn't cripple, and then Dean misses him with the desperation strike, and Bizarro's faster, so he doesn't get the follow-up. The thieves injure Silvus enough now that I cannot risk having her stay to kill Bizarro at the start of next turn, so both we and they all run eastward and play past the Vuln instead. I get Christine and Albert in position, and I provoke Bizarro, but I guess that what Silvus has got is mutual, and he likes Cinderace too much to care about what I thought were game mechanics, I guess. And he ignores Albert and attacks Silvus anyways. I try to use Dean to kill an archer on the way to getting him into heal range of Owen, but he misses 2 80% hits and takes the guaranteed counter, and then eats another 18% and dies. Okay. I burn more sniper arrows and brave crossbow durability to kill Bizarro, who thankfully, despite his vulnerary, healed to just shy of mortal range. And then Owen, perhaps conceiving a piquant, powerful, and alas posthumous attraction to the departed shade of Dean, who, like Volo, exhibits traits of that perennial Kaga archetype for whom all clerics get weak at the knees, eats a 60-some% hit from one of the archers, and then, while I am screaming at him to get clear, swallows 2 more sub-20% shafts and follows my edgy Axe Myrmidon into that far country, the encroachment of whose borders poses an existential threat to my Ironman. I swear to God, if these mercenaries don't start performing better, I'm going to put them on that New World Order type rations. I might as well have already been feeding Dean crickets and roaches for all the good he did me here today. That beef dish was supposed to average him 3 HP recovery per turn, and he just gets 1s consistently? Like, what the fuck? I'm going to need to vet every new hire's medical record before I open up the purse from now on. Like, these camp followers want cash money? They better show me proof of biorhythm. I give up on getting the item on the left side of the map, and I start pumping Battlecry with Dowd, because my initial strategy to deal with the boss had been to let Dean take a lot of damage and then proc Vengeance to kill, and that's no longer viable for obvious reasons. And then she arrives. The savior of the run, my favorite unit. The Kaga Special, the Wyvern Rider, Laurentia, is here. She looks very scary, but she will not attack, and will instead move directly up to Reese and recruit herself. Beautiful. Beautiful. I set Silvus up to Overwatch with the Ember Arrow to stop the boss's charge. Overwatch will not work if you deal 0 damage, so I can use a normal arrow, and because he has high defense and a shield, odds are that he will ignore the Overwatch and then kill someone. However, because he has 0 resistance and the fire arrow does 1 point of magic damage, that will be enough to stop him in his tracks, and then Reese and Dowd can get the kill. Except that I miscalculate, and I don't know if Laurentia is going to move first or the boss does. If Laurentia moves first to talk to Reese, because she is still an enemy until she talks to Reese, Silvus will proc Overwatch on her, and then I will damage my joining unit and be open to the boss's charge, and my big brain trap will be ruined. But it's fixable. I use Reese's turn to talk to Laurentia instead of attacking the boss with his rapier and cantoing back out of range. Turns out, Laurentia does not like committing war crimes, and so she defects to my army. Reese promises to vouch for her with Volsons, and I promise her in my heart. Gonna try and not get her killed. The boss steps directly into my trap. Silvus stops him, and I slaughter him. Meanwhile, Adel and Leon are taking care of the brigands with elemental axes on the south side of the map, because each one gives me a reward in denarii, and I do need money. I'm letting Adel do the vantage thing, and Leon can deathmatch if need be. So back to the boss. I could pulverize this guy with Dowd. Battlecry means that's 70 plus damage and 100 accuracy now, if I want to, but I elect to just attack him, box him in, and then feed him to Ruby instead. Loris will never see his children with Marlene again because he's been killed, which is sad. But I can never have children with Laurentia because she is not real. So which of us really has it worse? You gotta ask. Laurentia is the only flying unit in the entire game who will join me, and I love her dearly. She occupies a tile, but enemies can move beneath her because she's way high up. However, because she is way high up, no melee weapons can hit her unless they counter if she attacks and then misses. Arrows and ranged weapons can still strike her though. Her HP growth is not very high, so ideally she kind of wants a high accuracy weapon to guarantee that she takes as few counterattacks as possible. And she comes with a magic lance that deals 5 magic damage and does physical damage with the standard spear momentum bonus. She also has a throw skill, which allows her to chuck Pelum and Javelin with plus 10 accuracy. This is really useful because if she gets a couple of lucky strength levels and you give her a stronger version of a Pelum, she can sometimes one-shot a Raised Priest. A lot of the times they're sitting off on the side of the map using physic on the enemy. Plus, if you play a little bit careful, similar to Christine, really, you can manipulate turn order such that Laurentia can get inside of a ballista's range between the end of one turn and the start of the next, and then knock down the ballista before it has a chance to deal any damage to your army. Laurentia has incredible utility and all of my affection, and I demonstrate my preference by immediately fumbling and nearly getting her killed twice. Kaga has mercy on me though, and in the end I pull all of my units out on the very last turn and we are safe. We gained 2 units, we lost 2 units. Doubt is fun. Battle Cry and then Pulverize is a bit of a cute meme strat, but he's no substitute for Dean. That loss hurt, and there were 2 maps that I really wanted to use Owen in, and now I will have to use someone else instead. Still, I got lucky. If I'd thrown and lost Laurentia, I would be quite crestfallen. Speaking of, Volson's imprisons Laurentia. But the jailer's crooked, so I can bring her out whenever I bribe him, and that includes for main missions. And then I traipse about town picking up my quest rewards. Money, and Dowd's oath of eternal service. So Sherlock is apparently a tier 3 sub for the local diva, and when somebody steals her magic narcoleptic loot, he barks and rubs up against her ankles and makes puppy dog eyes until Reese and Ward allow him a pity command in this, our next Fog of War map. Pretty small, port and pirates to the southwest, and a town with some scrubby forest to the right. The boss is hidden in the house at the middle bottom of the map, and he doesn't move. There are several stationary enemy units on the map, so as long as you keep your own units in a kind of a mobile blob and move carefully, you really shouldn't be in much danger as you engage the freely moving opponents. There are pirate reinforcements at the west end of the map, but they stop after a while, so you could probably just set up and turtle near the start of the map until reinforcements stop, and then snowplow your way through the rest of them. But while I think that would be a rational and respectable way of minimizing risks in an Ironman, I didn't think of it until just now. I think Sherlock is super lame, and I wanted the map over quick, so I split the party. I let Kramer, Esteban, Sherlock, Albert, and Ruby dry out and kill the enemies attacking from the east without sending them too far into the dark, and I rush Faye and Sylvis down to the southwest to dodge tank pirates and get Faye a little bit of sword rank. The combination of 1RN, heavy-hitting axe units, and Myrmidon Archer HP values makes what might have been a quite sedate and almost slogging map instead a very exciting experience. And I spend Faye's last cutlass use to protect Sylvis from a pirate with a distressingly high accuracy broadaxe, pull Ruby and Albert back to support them, and hold position by the lighthouse until enemy pirates stop spawning. Then I spread out in a line to maximize my vision and slowly squeeze inwards. Esteban's scotopic skill gives him an extra tile of vision. I am liking this guy more and more the more I use him. I really hope I don't get him killed. And I use Albert's Arrowbane to troll the bandit sitting in Overwatch posture, roll over an enemy mage, and engage the boss. Penello, the failed poet, with his somnolent septameter, sleeps anyone who attacks except for Sherlock, who has cutscene immunity. There is an obnoxious bowman set up right near the boss too, so they can probably double team you if you get caught unawares. But I shoved Albert in to plug the position, and Arrowbane means that I don't really have to care too much about the rooftop archer. I move Sherlock into range, trigger the special event to break Penello's string, and then spend so long missing the dodgy fucker that I turn off animations and get so conditioned with button mashing that I almost don't notice when Faye crit kills him. Sherlock gets a nice bowstring, which I confiscate immediately for use in crafting a weapon for Sylvis, and an invitation to simp from the front row henceforth. Thank Varia, he's already a sworn Xenon Knight. I'm not sure I could bear the shame of paying him mercenary wages knowing how he'd be spending them. Won't someone think of the children? It is a bright new day, and young Thaddy here is having no luck in arguing his case to the gate guards. But by contrast, My engorged and sopping heart nigh all but erupts at his tale of child slave takers operating within Navarron's very back streets. How far up must this human trafficking operation run that a young lady may be abducted from the very hovel in which she shelters with other war orphans? We'll never know, actually. Despite indicating that the flesh trade is a thriving economic engine, Berwick's story is more one of nations rather than institutions, however peculiar, and with no sequel, DLC, or rapprochement between Kaga and intelligence systems, I suppose we will never see Reese drugged, molested, and shanghaied aboard a Fodlanian trunker to participate in some kind of cosmopolitan gladiatorial combat. Indeed, Berwick Saga's focus on the exploits of the titled nobility, like in any Fire Emblem, really, tends rather to gloss over the bleakness of its setting, to lampshade a detail once and then let it fade to the background. I mean, heck, if Esteban disappears into the wind during Chapter 3 or your Christine's dead or something, there's no scene to acknowledge it, in spite of the context. Like, Irina still serves food at the Kingfisher Pavilion like everything's normal, even though both of us know she's getting split in half every night by sailors on shore leave. Regardless, I take up with the reincarnate Julian to rescue his perennial Lena. Sort of a gimmicky map. The yellow Imperial units up top are going to aggro if I enter their range. So the obvious intent is for you to use Fatty to run from one forest tile to the other all the way down the map and then lower the drawbridge, so as to aggro only the red units. Because I am editing this footage, you don't have to watch me spend hours slowly moving down the dead-end path and painstakingly attempting to gain knife rank on Thaddy and Esteban, and then sending Thaddy all the way back and around the map to lower the bridge. But I did do it. I want to use Thaddy this run, so I'm giving him some XP, and also I'm crippling enemy units to take their weapons is probably the only way I'm going to stay solvent this Ironman. Strategy's paying off, too. I spend 2 extra hours on this chapter, but it gets me 2 cripples and a war pick and a battle saw. War pick is too high rank for anyone to use yet, but the battle saw is nice. 60% base accuracy is very much appreciated. I bet Dean loved battle saws. Anyhow, once the bridge is lowered, I have Dad sit in the back line and stroke his axe handle till he's about ready to pop, and then I bait the bandit leader's entourage into a Silva's Overwatch, have her shoot a cheeky arrow at the boss, and let Dad erupt. Daddy rescues Lena and is now available for hire. His recruitment is pretty cheap, all things considered. 5k denarii is not bad in the course of things. What does concern me at present is prepping for next chapter. The Imperial Razite force is headed our way, and I will be fighting outside of the gates of a castle, within which a small green unit force containing my Sylvis will be stationed. Since she's a green unit next chapter and has a bit of dialogue, I think her inventory is probably checked, and I am wondering whether, if I leave said inventory empty, she's going to get a free bow and arrows. I have therefore ensured that I broke her unequipable bow and used up all of her personal arrows, so that I can ensure that she enters next chapter with an empty inventory. We'll see if I get a free composite bow 2 chapters from now. And that's a wrap for Chapter 4.